All right, we are live. What's going on, fellow traders? I hope everybody had a great trading day today. Let me just get this tweeted out. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, yeah. So what a day today is, right? So another green day for the SPX for the overall market. So plus 13. Really interesting day because we gapped up and it really looked like there was a few chances that we might fill that gap, but it never quite happened. So that's going to leave us a gap on the daily and the weekly because this is the first day of the week. So we'll just keep an eye on that. Right now, futures are green. They were red earlier. So let's see if this holds throughout the evening and gives us another gap up. So we'll see how that works out. But right now, monthly chart, green, right, is reclaimed over 50% of the prior month's range, which is bullish. The prior week was a bullish engulfing week, right? We had a downtrend, red bar followed by a green bar, which completely engulfed the real body of the prior bars, and then the shadows, of course, engulfed all the shadows of the prior bar. So very bullish setup, and so far the week is green, albeit it's a Southern Doji right now, or rather a Gravestone Doji. There's a little bit of a gap there on the weekly, so we'll take a little bit of a closer look on the daily. Give me 1 second. Let me just make sure everything's coming through here. Okay, good. Hey, Paul, what's going on? Fighting a cold? That stinks, man. I'm sorry. Too bad on a Monday too. Because lots of cool price action today. But yeah. So we got a little bit of gap here on the daily. So we'll look and see. Really thought that was gonna get filled at some point today, but didn't quite hit it. So if we end up gapping up a little bit tomorrow and start pushing up, I mean the next level, right, is the cloud break, and that could also be a tail fail here. So anybody who's short has got stops up here. So if we do break through that cloud, which is a momentum mover, and we take out these stops, that could give a nice push to the upside. So just something to look at there. Let's go and take a look at the price action on the 5-minute chart. This is the type of stuff that we look at in the private Twitter for Positive Trends newsletter subscribers. So what we do is we look at the floor pivot levels, right? So let me get that pulled up here real quick. Okay, so today was the 10th. Okay, so this is kind of what we were looking at today. I'm going to actually take these fibs out just because they are interesting, because they were great from Pierre HK's awesome presentation yesterday on trading gaps with options. But anyway, today was pretty amazing, right? So we had this gap up, pretty huge gap up. Basically we saw this yesterday, that was, with the weekend, the Mexican tariffs, kind of being off and all that stuff. So we just got a lot of follow through today. So big push here, right, in the open. So got through the daily R1 and the monthly R1 and gapped up over the prior day's high. So just left a nice gap there, both on the weekly and on the daily. So it gave a real big push bar right here, kind of pulled back a couple times and finally got up to the R2 level, right? And this is where we look at a change of trend, right? If you guys have followed the trend line video, get a nice breakthrough here, confirmation. There's your minor pivot area, pause, and then that push to the downside, right? This big sharp bar right here, but couldn't hold it, and then continued down. So and then here we are, then another push right at the double R1 level, right? And then it was a nice little scalp right there, kind of to get right before the close, and then this kind of this mess into the close. So everybody's pretty short today, kind of going in. We had a pretty bearish day, on the if you look at the candlestick on the daily, right? So this is shooting star, Gravestone Doji, Southern Doji. So but look at this high. Okay, so very, very similar, right? It got came right back in the cloud with a definite shooting star type setup right here. So, and at the upper Bollinger Band too. So I mean, there's a lot of reason to think short right here. But it doesn't surprise me that Mr. Market likes to trip as many people up as possible, right? So if it ends up gapping up, we might actually see some short covering and then another push. So that could be pretty interesting. Let's take a look at the bigger picture. By looking at our pitchfork levels, and let me remove these two. Okay, so. Yeah, lots of trend lines in here that we look at, intraday, for newsletter subscribers. But this is kind of a continuation. We did a 3-minute video the other day on Andrew's pitchfork, right? So you can kind of see here the global pitchfork level. This is getting a little bit congested. Let me see, clear. Nope. No, we're good. Okay, sorry, it's a little bit messy here. 1 second. Oh, I'm on SPY. That's why I was like, what is going on? Good, good, good. Okay, so here we are, SPX. So this is the kind of channel that we've been looking at all the way through 2018, right? It's given us kind of continuation move into 2018. It's been really interesting. Christmas reversal grabs that channel level again, then it goes into the pitchfork. So this blue level right here is the pitchfork median line, right? And so these are really, really interesting points, and we want to keep an eye on that. If we see like a pivot, then we might get continuation. So the fast stochastic can actually help us with that. So we get a little bit of a kind of a pivot point here that eventually broke through the pitchfork median line and got to the this reaction line right here, which we came right off of today. So very, very significant level, significant day. Came to this reaction line here, which was from back here. And so now we'll see how this plays out tomorrow. So it should be really, really interesting. So and also the stochastic kind of level is a little bit kind of overbought here. So it should be pretty interesting to see if that does reverse. If not, then we could see it go a little bit higher and stay in the overbought level for a little bit. See how it did here. And then, barely gave a little bit of a pullback there and then through. So that's kind of a look at the overall market. It'll be interesting to see, what tomorrow brings. And so tonight, basically just want to talk about, something that's really important, right? Everybody talks about trend, right? And so we've recently done a lot of delving into trend lines, channels, Fanchans, and other things, of this sort. And it's really important to be able to determine the direction of the trend, right? So the trend is your friend until it bends, right? Or until it ends. And so that's what we look for. So it's really, really key to be able to draw a trend line. And what I want to show is just illustrate here with SPX and just kind of show something that we can look at. And so we talk a lot about, one of my favorite things to trade in the private Twitter is reversal setups, because it's not like we're calling tops or anything like that, but we can use the price action to determine where a reversal is happening by using the trend line. But when you have days, like a few days ago, like this, that were just this huge trending day, right? Let me actually go back. This was the 7th, so let me go back there. At what point do we just say like, okay, I'm done, trying to short, right, or try to find a reversal. Like why not just kind of buy into this trend? So where are the points to do that? So a couple of things we've looked at before, have been pullbacks to the moving average, and we look for a moving average that fits, with prior price action on whatever index or issue that we're looking at. Which really kind of fits, like a nice best fit on the price. So when we do see pullbacks to that, we look for buying entries. But what do we use to evaluate trends, right? Intraday, definitely is trend lines. And so let me actually just go through and edit this one. So we can use those trend lines themselves to determine the pullback to the trend for us to find nice entries. And so let's take a look at that. So this is just, in fact, this one is a couple days ago. And so what we want to do is draw our trend line. So, we take the low and we go to a recent high, and then, we look for a pivot. So this would be one area, but it doesn't make sense because we had a green bar and a green bar, so we wouldn't have traded that. So that would have been the trend line, but we had a minor pivot, but never a breakdown through it. And then we started getting new highs. And so from there, we redraw our trend line. Right, so there's your new high. So we just move right there to the new area. Okay. All right. Very, very interesting. So here is one point, right, that we can see is a started to break down here. This was started to form a minor pivot, but gave you basically a tweezer bottom right here. So never gave you that price, confirmation that this was changing. And so so we look for our next point, and so we have a new high. So here, so this was 2870.94. This is 2870.89, so not a high. So this is your new high right here. So we activate this, and we go to the next pivot. And this ends up being a, sort of like your trend line that you follow. And so at this point, when we see that the trend wasn't moving, right, even before moving the trend line, so this was here, to here. So we could see that this ended up being a pull, instead of being a breakdown, it ended up being a pullback. And so what we could do is then we, even without getting to this point right here, is adjust the trend line to see that this never really happened, right? So this was a pullback to that area. Now this got extremely extended. So and also it came to a key level here, which was your reversal point. So this actually was very, very difficult to trade. And so, without just sort of, just saying, hey, this is pausing right here, so let me go. But let's look at today's. Okay, so today started to be a little bit similar to that, but it did give finally, some price action that was tradable. And so this was the first pullback area. Okay, so we had a high here. Okay, and then what you do is when you get those highs, you go to the next pivot, but that's here. So it's clearly breaking down, right? And kind of gave a little bit of confirmation, then a push, but then never got any follow through. So a quick cover there if shorting, and then it moved up again, right? So here's your level, okay, and then you move to the next pivot. Now this one actually gave you a decent pullback, right? So so here, finally gave this as a possibility. So pushes up and then pulls back to your trend line, and this is actually a potential breakdown, but there is no level here to take. And so at this point, this ends up being a pullback that is buyable. And so what you do is you have your next breakout point. So say you went, attempted to go along here, you would have had a brief pause and then a push up, and then you can move your line here. Okay, so here's your new high, and now you have even a better trend line. So this became a pullback to a larger trend that was forming. So you had your first pullback here, second pullback to the trend line, right? And then finally, this level right here was also buyable, right? Because it came back to the trend line, right? So never gave you a breakdown confirmation. So it ended up being the pullback to the trend line, which is buyable. So here you're at 28.97.41, okay? And then this ended up going not quite 10 points, but about 7 points or so to the upside. So how does that look? I mean, how does that look with options? So let's see. So here, this pullback here, right, was at about 11.05. So let's say our next target, right? And let's go back to today's level. Sorry, today's level, June 10th. Okay, so there we go. So our next target was this 29.02. So look at 2900s. In this pullback zone, right? So let me activate that again. Sorry, I pulled up today's drawings anyway. So there's this, then our level was here. So we had this. It was our next pivot. This was the pullback to it. So it was your long. So 11.05 at the 2900s. Let's look at that. Let's give it a second to load here. Okay, so let's do the 2900s at 11.05. And look at the price action there on the options. Okay, so the 2900s. Copy. Okay, so where were we? Here's our pullback, 11.05-ish. And it gets tricky. You have to watch it. You have to watch price all the time, right? If you're trading this way, if you're day trading. Again, you can do it on the larger term time frames too. You just have to look for the pullbacks to your trend line. A lot of times it's pretty smooth. So where are we? So 11.05 is kind of your buy area. So let's say you got halfway through this range. So let's say you got at 350, right? And then what you can do is your stops can be pretty sensible, right? So you can definitely put it at the last pullback, which is here. So about like 236, so 230. So you're looking at 1.2, 1.3 risk, right? And then look what happened. So you had your initial thrust right here, another pullback, right, to the essentially the daily trend line. So you're basically back at 350-ish. You're still positive, right? Then another push to 480, not a bad place to take profit. Quick pull back to that 350 area one more time, right? So you can see how this is moving, right? It moves back, it pulls back, gives you buying opportunities, right? So you had a nice price here, right? And then finally, basically a double right here. So into that push just to 2,900, only a 7-point move to get a double on those options. So pretty. So and it's all about just looking at your trend. Again, it's not beautiful, and it would be nice to have a perfect method or a perfect drawing to show what they look like. But if you trace these intraday, you can start to see these and start to get a feel for the price action. So one thing I want to point out though, before we go on to questions or chart requests, is when we're looking, especially if we're trading intraday and you get used to a certain time frame like the fives, or if you're used to trading the dailies and you trade longer term swings, right? You can use Elliott wave technique in this as well, and you don't have to have like such a super advanced understanding of it. But the idea is that that things move in waves, right? So it's like wave up, down, right? Up, down. And why is that? Because, well, people panic and they sell, and then bears come in, and then they panic and they recover. And, so it just happens, just constant flow of human emotion, right? That goes through the price action. And then algorithms take advantage of that too, because they understand the flow, right? So the idea is that a lot of times so how does it work, right? So impulsive waves, right, go in like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So you have your your initial move up, right, which is your 1. And this is just general. This is not perfect wave count, right? So let's just say, so here's 1, right? So here's your first wave here. Okay, and we like to trade wave 3s. So this is your first pullback to the trend line, right? And then you had your 3. And again, this is not perfect. So Elliott wave, Paul and everybody, this is just kind of just demonstrating that it's the principle of the fifth, the 5 waves. And so these pullbacks, essentially, are like your wave pullbacks, right? So we want to catch those when we're trending, right? And that's why we only like to trade, waves 3 or waves 5, because those part of that wave pattern. And so I think it's really helpful to do that, especially if you have a trend line, to sort of just look at how many times it tags it. So for me, I would rather buy if moving up, I'd rather buy the second tag of the trend line that's trending, right? So, because you get a little more confident in the move. And again, these trend lines are, here. I mean, if we even just, if we don't go, perfect, you can kind of just see in general what's happening here, right? We don't have to go to the very base level, but we could see that this is following this trend line, right? So this was your first tag, right? So then here, the second tag is a good spot to buy, right? So it's your first test, retest. If it doesn't break down here, right, then we consider going long, right? And that's following our trend. And then like I said, this pullback here ended up being a double on the options. And there was other pullbacks too. When these pulled back here, these options here were $3.50. When they came back here, they ended up being $3.50 again, and then they doubled there. So you could see following trend and using trend lines, is very helpful. And again, you can do the same thing too with channels, right? So like say like a Than Chan or something like that. So, so here's your channel level, right there, right? Essentially. So just kind of gives you a zone to look in and to trade in. And so when you're trading within trend, as long as it holds your channel levels, as long as it holds your trend line that is trending, then pullbacks to that trend line can help you look for buying opportunities when it is trending. So hopefully you guys find that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those into the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can. We'll try to get wrapped up, before 10:30 definitely, so we can get a good night's sleep. And we'll get through as many as we can. Sounds good. So Paul, what's going on, man? Sorry that you're not feeling well. But yeah, not contagious. It's not a computer virus, right? So, but yeah, I hope you're doing well, man. I'm sorry. It's never fun. Be sure to check out Pierre's video yesterday too. It was pretty amazing. So, NetPri, what's going on? Hope he feels more citrus and vitamin C. That would be great. Pierre, what's going on? An honor to have you again. Thank you for joining us. Get well. Manoj, how are you? Good to see you. Let me just adjust this. Okay. Shirley, how's it going? Stacy, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. And so hopefully that makes sense today. So that when we look at these trend lines, so a lot of times we look for these reversals at key levels, right? But when we're going between levels, when can we actually get in and buy, right? So what are the pullbacks that we could buy? And so the key is to look for a trend line that is that represents the trend, right? Or a channel that represents a trend. And so there's pullbacks. So this is like your 1, so that would be your 2. Right? Then you can attempt a 3 because it could be a subwave of the future wave up, and when you get those pullbacks, then you can capitalize on these days that just trend like this. If we kind of go back without being this is to the other day too. I know we don't have the levels here. This this was such a tough day to catch long, but here we had it was just so tough. I mean, if anything, maybe here, but then there were no other this was a tough day to grab, and it was such a huge move too. So you just had to just take this the push through the that prior level, and just go for it. But anyway, but it is help when things are moving to look for pullbacks to those trends. You don't have to just use the 5-minute time frame. You could look at it at other time frames too. So anyway, Harvey, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Sarah, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. Manoj, can we draw a fib level like Peter Pan, PRHK did yesterday, and also chart request to STZ and NFLX? Yep, absolutely. So let's take a look at STZ. Did that gap today? We did. We had a bit of a gap. This one obviously didn't do anything, but let's just take a look at what was gapping on news today. Like say Microsoft was a good one, right? So, and Pierre did a quick video on that too. But and Pierre, forgive me if I mess this up. But let's see. So what we do is we have I'm going to take out the pre-market data so it's easier to see. And let's go here. Let's take out the extended hours, and we'll just draw that first 5-minute one, okay? Just to kind of give us an idea. And so we take the close of the prior day's bar, which is here. It's not going to be perfect, and then we take the close of the opening bar, which was there, okay? So here, and draw our extension back to here, okay? So that's kind of your first 5-minute level, right, on the gap. And so it makes sense that Microsoft is gapping too. So it's definitely an potential orb trade too, because let me remove that. There. Drawing. Okay, cool. Because it was gap, it had the Xbox stuff all weekend and all that stuff. So, but here's your push. Right, this is your initial level, and then remember that 1.272 extension. So notice how just using that. Right, that first push gave you an upper shadow right here to that level, right? And then it started to give you this like a really nice setup. So it gave you a couple upper shadows, right? That was showing resistance, and then it gave you this beautiful ascending triangle, right? Which eventually gave you that breakout to that 1.27 level, right? And so a lot of these, and Pierre talked about switching to the 30-minute, the 15-minute, so you could go 3. But I mean, they're all pretty close right here, right? So just to look for those. But that was your breakout point here through the 1.27, and then finally kind of came above there. So it's basically just using those gaps. I like make sure they're gapping on news, and then go from your close of the prior day to the close of the opening 5-minute bar, and then you can go to a different time frame, right, and see what is more effective for you. So you could go here to see how the price action flows, and then so you could try then here to the close of the 15-minute bar, which is roughly the same. So activate. I'll just push it up there. Okay. So here's your 1.27. Right. There's your break right there. So it was 132. Then ended up going around 34. Right. So and then if that doesn't work, then you could also look at the 30-minute. Activate. Let's see. Let's go to the close of the 30-minute bar, and there it is right there. So this bar right here, you could trade this 30-minute bar, right? So what kind of bar is this, right? It's a hammer, right? Hammers are bullish, right? So especially if you're trending up. So we gapped up and we had a hammer. So this is a very momentum hammer, right? So just the break of this hammer alone, right? And this is the multiple time frames, right? So this is what's going on in the internals of that hammer, right? All this stuff. If you don't like trading this stuff, you like just trading candles, go to the bigger time frame. So right, here's your 30-minute bar, right? You put your 100% there, here's your 0% here, then you break. So your first target is that 1.272. So break of that hammer right there, right? And it's beautiful. Look where it went. 1.618. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And then I was gonna say there's probably another fib in here somewhere, but anyway, really beautiful. So hopefully you find that helpful. And hope I didn't ruin it too much, Pierre. But yeah, let's take a look at the other stuff. Let's take a look at STZ. So let's look at the daily candlestick while we're here. Wow, big gap up, right? Kind of reclaimed most of the day and gapped over its 200 moving average. You got a gold cross right here. So just be careful. We've got this gap below now and a gap above. So we'll see how well it can hold. There's your 50-day moving average right here at 197. So yeah, this thing's gonna be a little bit wild, as these these stocks often are. But let's just see if there's anything else that is of interest. Notice how it came to an old level too. This orange represents an old level. I guess it was an old gap we had, possibly a 15 orb that we did prior. It was an old gap right here. I used to do these gaps in orange, so when we used to study these. So there it is. So you were actually at a prior gap level. You had major support resistance right here. So we're kind of above that right now. So this is actually looking pretty bullish right now, especially if it could stay above today's close. Otherwise, you have the gap below. And then Netflix, awesome stuff here. So what I liked about this is that it was coming back to our this support zone. Okay, and it really looks like it wants to get there. One thing is going to be on the bullish risk because techie investor trader Amog, pointed this out, and I really like this this falling wedge, type situation here on the 15 with a big green candle with some volume at the end. So with futures up, this could be one if it doesn't gap up too much. This could be one to look at. So I might even take a trade in this tomorrow in the private one, in the private Twitter. But anyway, so nice little nice falling wedge right here at the end of the day. So a break above that, you can see I already have alert here. A break above that could be pretty interesting. So I'm just gonna put that there. Okay, cool. So yeah, so I'm definitely liking Netflix. SMDC4S, what's going on? Okay, so your McClellan oscillator moved up to 97. Topping area has been 150-ish. Okay, so we've got room to move. Thank you, sir. Very nice. Jay, what's going on? Hello. SMDCS. Thursday is roll day on SPX. On Friday, TUS. We'll show September as the front month. And good chance we pull back Wednesday. And we have the last 3 months. Wow, great tip there. So let's see. Let's take a look at what we have on SPX. Is it when you're saying, is that roll day on the ES? Is that what you're saying? If I'm understanding correctly, let me see. Yes, Thursday is the 13th, and so yeah, so they might be. You're saying they might be switching contracts there on the S&P. Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, and then like you said, like a look for a pullback on Wednesday. So yeah, that would definitely be interesting. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. So no months, but the last 3 quarters. Okay, cool. Netfry, what's going on? Let's see what we got. My pays. Pays? Am I interpreting it right, Netfry? This doesn't seem like one that you trade, so I'm not sure. Inside 60 anchor at the end of the day. Big gap up, green bar, could be bullish. It's over $10. Definitely a possibility. So let me know if I had interpreted that correctly. So Samir, what's going on? Likelihood of a small pullback in SPY? Well, we have to be concerned about these open gaps, right? So those are kind of the main things right now, right? So obviously here it's looking very bearish, right? We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 green days with a topping tail here at the upper Bollinger Band. Right, your RSI is looks like it's over 70, so it's a little bit overbought, and so yeah, definitely a pullback is possible to fill a gap, but we'll see. I mean, the market likes to trick a little bit, so we'll see if it fills that gap or not. So, but possible. G10, what's going on? THO. Whoa, nice top and tail on that one. Yeah, so that's looking pretty bearish right there. So what happened? We had earnings today before the market opened. Yeah, so I guess I don't know how the earnings were. They were bad. And so it gapped up on bad earnings, but maybe it had some good guidance or something like that. And so yeah, so this actually looks very bearish going into tomorrow. So nice topping tail and a possible, looks like it filled no, it didn't quite fill that gap. Isn't that annoying? But yeah, so if we break down below, today's low, we could start seeing a gap fill there. So that's definitely one to look at. CLDR. Okay, so very well, okay, so huge volume here. 57 million. Oh, okay, yeah, well, $5 stock. I guess that makes sense. So wow, this huge gap down, and then just kind of holding like these levels, like this $5 level is like really key right now. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on there. Let's see. Yeah, just lots of selling there. So I mean, it's these are the type of ones when they gap down like this. It's like you want to catch this move, but I would still wait until maybe you get like some sort of condition where the RSI goes, kind of back into its range, and stochastic goes back into its range. Like, this could chop around here for a long time. So just be careful. I've been caught in these before where I was like, oh, that gap down is going to fill its gap, within a month, and then in like a month and a half later, my options have lost all their value, and then it doesn't do it, and then eventually maybe like a year later it does. So just be careful with those. And then Netflix we just took a look at. So yeah, it's looking pretty interesting for a possible scalp tomorrow on that falling wedge break. Otherwise, it's back down to this kind of congestion zone, this 340 range. So. Paul, yeah, let's take HD and ESA Doji sandwich, by the way. Nice. Let's take a look. So HD. Yeah, you're not feeling well because you had too many Doji sandwiches, right? So let's see. Let's take a look. Yep. So let's see. We had where was the prior Doji sandwich? Wasn't there a prior one? Look at that. So this isn't amazing, right? So we were stocking this. This was a trade of the week idea that we had that never came to fruition because it never broke out through the cloud like we were expecting. And we had these open gaps right here that we were targeting, and then eventually. It's just funny how these things work, right? So it's kind of have this little 2B reversal right here, kind of pulls back, and then it finally gets to these gap levels, right? So still has a gap above, so that is definitely looking interesting. And we do have a doji right here. For the doji sandwich, it'd be nice to see, a little bit of a, longer bar here. But on the weekly, that is looking interesting. So you have this bar right here. If we finish with the doji right here, then we could see a nice doji sandwich move right to the upside. So that's just all. It's basically just a measured move, everyone, for the doji sandwich. Just a long bar, pause bar with the doji, and then a follow through to the upside. So so a lot of times dojis can be reversal bars, but they could also be continuation bars. So just something to think about. And then ESF doji sandwich. Let's see. Let's take a look. Yep, big move. Pause, and then there it is right there. So if we do break above that 2904 level on the ES, then we definitely see that big push to the upside tomorrow. So, and the mid Bollinger Band and the upper Bollinger Band are both pointing up, which is a bullish kind of a bullish signal there on the BBs. Robin, what's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, I hope he gets better too. Let's see. Do we feel like looking at QQQ and Diz? Let's take a look. Well, it's really interesting. So the SPY, kind of gave that red, shooting star, but here, it's almost like a belt hold bar with the Q. So it's just under the 50 moving average. If we get over that 183, especially if we get over 184, I definitely think this could get bullish. I mean, golden cross right here on the MAs, then we could start to see things, kind of moving, in that direction. Then Disney actually had a down day, which is crazy. And it's bearish engulfing too. So bearish engulfing, right? So we have green 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green days in a row. 7 being kind of a big number, or important number. Bearish engulfing bar right here, which means your real body completely engulfed the prior real body, right? And then look, actually the real body engulfed the entire candle. So so it is looking bearish there. And you see this lower tail. This is actually an inverted belt hold bar. So this is a bearish Urikiri bar. And so we'll look to see if that gets any follow through to the downside. So it's also given like the indicator, death cross right here too. So yeah, so be careful with Disney at this point. So interesting, how money flows in and out of different stocks, so like they bought this up for so long here after that big gap up, safety when the market was kind of going down, and then, or a little bit. So, and because it was 6-3 was a bearish day in the market, and this was green, right? And then, so a lot of money flowed into it there. You got some follow through too. Then of course the rest of the market went up as well. But very, very interesting. So, Saul, what's going on, bud? Good to see you. Jay, what's going on? What exactly is a falling knife? So falling knife is basically this on the intraday, right? So that is a falling knife right there. The question is, people, they say, can you catch a falling knife, right? And so what you're trying to do when you catch a falling knife is buy it where you think it's going to be at its low, right? So it's very, very dangerous. That's why, right? Do you want to catch a falling knife? No, because if you try to catch it, if somebody drops a blade and you try to catch it when it's falling, especially when it's accelerating, right, that could really hurt, right? And so that's exactly why they call it. So this is your falling knife right here. And then what I like to do is just use price action to do it, so you don't have to wait for this bar right here. But then it finally paused and gave you an inside bar, right? And then it broke up. I'm not saying it was a huge move or anything like that, but here's kind of just your 60-minute bar break to the upside, which is 137, and then it kind of pushed all the way. Was it 137.20? So it gave you a 20-cent move. Not huge, but at least you're not catching the falling knife. So it's not, let's say, like a key level, like a support level is like right here, right? So let's say 137.33. So if you caught there, you're like, I'm going to catch this falling knife right here. Okay, well, you got to hold through that pain, right? And then it finally came up, paused, and then gave a little bit of a move. So Netflix was a falling knife this morning as well. I believe, if I recall. Yep, so here it was, an inside bar, falling knife, right? So you want to catch that, but what we did get is an inside 60, and that inside 60 broke and kind of got over this 60-minute 200 average, and then that was a nice push right there. So it was 359 all the way up to 363. So that was actually very tradable. And then it fell again, right? And so just you got to be careful with that. So that's why we use different price action techniques to help us. So you don't have to catch a falling knife, right? So hopefully that helps. And Shirley Cron, take a look. Cool. Wow, it's a big move on Cron today, right? So look at that 60 anchor too, but really difficult. It was gap and go. Let's take a look. Let's see what we had. So yeah, it kind of took yesterday's high, just tagged it with its lower shadow, and then went. Now it's up in its daily cloud. Let's look at the weekly. Broke through volumetric resistance here at 1677, right? So nice follow through with that. Again, really tough to trade in these, with these kind of less expensive stocks, right? You have to use caution with it, right? So it already all started here, right? So this was your kind of push down, and then it had that gap up, and I think it had to do with some sort of upgrade or something like that. Then you had an inside bar, pause bar, right at this fib fan line that we've been stalking for a while, and then it broke out right through today. And then that was another volumetric level right here too. So the 1615 level, 1618, 1620, this whole level right here was key. And then once it broke that, it got its momentum push to the upside. So got a little fib arc right here. I mean, it might get a little follow through to the 1718 level, but might find some resistance there and then kind of come back in. So you can see this prior high zone is like right there at that fib arc. So just keep that in mind. AL. Oh, nice job too. Nice call yesterday too. Surely on Microsoft. I think it hit all-time highs today. So really, really nice stuff. So push, pause, up. So yeah, so it's looking good over those volumetric levels. LYB. Nice gap up. After dividends, so yeah, so it looks good. So you have this 1, 2, 3 pullback, right, and then a bounce. Very nice. Colosol. Pins. Thank you for bringing that one up. I haven't seen that one in a while. Very nice. Not quite a 2B reversal here, but nice kind of double bottom type look. W, and then pause with a doji day today. So that 29.36 level is going to be key for it to get above, right? And so that does look interesting. Try to see if I can see a count here, like 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, 4. Just be careful with that, right? So so you have this 1, possibly 1, 2. 2. This might be a 3. This could be sort of like your A, B, C4. C4, right? 4, and then it could be working on a wave 5 down. Something to keep in mind, which would make sense if it wanted to test that level. It could come up, test that level. If it rejects that resistance level, this wave count could be legit, right? And look at the stochastic too. It hasn't been around very long, so but this fast stochastic, right, kind of proved here that this is a high. So just be careful of that as a high too. So just keep that in mind. Roku. Yep. I mean, still, uptrending, right? So, but if, goodness, we've been stocking this thing for so long. This has been so bullish. So still uptrending, right? So the question is, right, this is your first pullback to this trend line, right? So we kind of go with what we were talking about today. We go what we were talking about today, right? There's your first pullback. So it's going to pull back here to a second pullback here and then get bullish, right? So there's a gap right here. So I mean, it certainly could fill that, but let's just keep an eye on it and see what it does, right? So this is some key levels right here. So there's a lot of support right here. I know it's in a gap, but see how it holds its trend line, right? So it's trending up, and it's only made one pull to this this trend line, and it's been very strong. So just be careful with that. And then McDonald's, Mickey D's. Wow, look at that! Right at that volumetric level, and right off of it. Stochastic coming down. So it's been holding this this channel pretty well, right, for a while, since like back in February. So it's tagged it, kind of just undershot it just a little bit there, and then back up. Couldn't get above this volumetric level. Look at that, came right down off of it today. Amazing, but held this channel level. So it is bullish. It's, basically below today's lows. Possible decent stop there, and just see if it holds this. Right, so that's kind of important. That was a little funky to trade, but it can be fun when you catch it. Shirley VG. Vonage. I remember getting a Vonage phone when they first came out. Just, I can make all phone calls to the internet. Now it's just like everywhere. Let's see. So here's this. There. Yeah, still bullish, Shirley. So levels look good. Landon, what's going on? Baba, QQQ, and Hexo. Let's see. So Baba. Let's take a look. Look at that. Nice move on that stochastic, and then it finally broke through those oversold levels, and it's starting to work its way back up. Big move today. There's still a gap here, right? One thing that was a little bit interesting on the daily, or here's your weekly, sorry, but your weekly chart, right? It was an inside week last week, right? And so it gapped up. And a lot of double inside weeks are kind of like my favorite, but or double inside days. But by gapping up here, it's right into this resistance, this cloud resistance on the weekly. So just be careful with that. That it might want to come back in, at least test some of that range of that inside day. Gaps off of inside days, it likes to go back and test them. It's just something that it did, because this was a period of indecision on the price. And when it kind of gaps above it, it's like, I never got to test these levels like I wanted to, right? It's kind of sort of you got to think about how price thinks, and then so eventually it does, right? It kind of tests those. It's like, okay, I was okay there, and then it kind of puts its direction back again. QQQ. Yep, we just kind of took a look at this too. So, yeah, could be a good bullish bar. Just got to get over that 50 moving average there, and then we'll see if it can push. Surely, yeah, let's take a couple. Look at a couple more. MDT. This has been super bullish. I mean, it got an upgrade the other day. It's just been doing pretty well. So you can kind of see here in this channel that it's been following. Here's your one pullback. So even if it pulls back here, surely like kind of this to this channel level, that's your first pullback. Could be bullish. So just be careful. It's pinching up here on the RSI, but still could be very bullish. Let's take a look at Momo. Momo, it's getting some momentum, some Momo. But yeah, looks good, looks bullish. Here's your 200 moving average right there at 33.48. So just be careful with some resistance there. Kieran, what's going on? Can I explain it better, John? Oh, thanks. Use multiple time frames to trade depending on your preference. I personally like the 5 to 15, but you can trade any other time frame. Yeah, and then when you jump to that 30, I mean, that was just that. I mean, just look at the candle. It's like this green hammer, right? It's like Thor's hammer right there. It's super bullish. So awesome. Well, good. Thanks, man. So I learned something yesterday. Yay. That's awesome. Shirley, TGT. Good. Yeah, so this has been amazing too. Goodness gracious. Let's take a look. So this is another trade of the week idea for newsletter subscribers. Wish we caught it right there before earnings, but we ended up getting a scalp. I think like down here, we looked at it here, never quite got the breakout through the cloud. Actually broke down, then gave us an inside day, and it gapped up for us. This was a trade we took, and it's just amazing, right? This is a nice profitable trade. And just imagine if like held like all the way through earnings and all the way up here. It's just, when you see that, you're like, wow, amazing. So, but yeah, surely the only thing that concerns me about this is let's see if that pitchfork shows up here. Is that it is a little bit overextended, and I'm not saying it can't break out. Let me remove some of these fibs right here. Okay, but this is kind of a big pitchfork right here to here to here, right? And so it's at the top of the pitchfork level. So just be careful. That is, a big resistance level. I know it's close to all-time highs, but if it can't hold that, and it's starting to, get a little overbought here, if it can't hold that, it might come back down, at least retest that 81 level. Okay, so just be careful with that. So, but if it breaks out, it could be to the moon, like you said. So, and we'll take a look at one more SMDCS. Netflix broke under channel and had green bars above. Very nice. Yeah, that's beautiful. And let's look at KMX. We'll look at that one, Shirley, and then we'll wrap up with that. So we'll try to keep it to like 5 this way you kind of get through. But your 5 favorite ones, would be ideal. But I always love your stuff because it's amazing. So you can kind of go back and look at it and see how successful all these are. So there's your trend line. I mean, it's very bullish. Just watch for a pullback possibly to see if it holds. Right. So this is kind of like your 1. Maybe it'll give you like a 2 and then another push. Then your levels are good. Nice, SMD. Very cool. Nikolai, what's up? Good to see you. Jay, QURE. QURE. Sure. Let's take a look. Super bullish. It's parabolic at this point, so it's really hard to buy here, especially with that vertical. Right, it's been a huge move. So just look for potential pullbacks. Right, here's your move there. There's your level. So possibly like a pullback here, and then a move. Right. Yeah, but super bullish. Super bullish. Stacy, what's up? Amazon, if I have time. Yeah, always time. Yeah, so Amazon has been interesting. So let's just take a look real quick. Let's look at the weekly chart. So with this nice hammer on the weekly, right? Grab touch the cloud and back up. So very, very bullish coming into this week, right? And then of course we gapped up, and it was funny. The market really wasn't moving like crazy, but Amazon was like, 66 points today. Just a huge move. And look what it tried to do. Try to get out of the cloud right there and couldn't do it. But remember, stocks like to nothing moves in a straight line, right? So they get tired, right? So if you don't catch that first move and you try to catch the breakout after it's already moved, 65 points, right? It's hard to get more of a break after that. But I do like the Yorikiri bar. I like it closer to a 50 moving average. I think that it's going to probably consolidate a little bit, maybe pause, and then hopefully, and then then work on its breakout. If not, and the market gets weak, then you got this nasty gap right here that it could work on. So so there's that to think about, right? And actually, this left, I believe this left. Let me see. So this low right here was 1807.83, and the high here was 1806. So there's a double gap right here. So this turns out to be an island bottom, right? So there's 2 gaps that are below a prior gap, and then this gap right here. So so that'll definitely be something to keep an eye on. And then from there, of course, so that's what I would say. I would just do what you've been doing and just keep an eye on the 60s, keep an eye on your price action, and keep an eye on your 4 pivot levels. Your daily, right? So it was at a major reaction line. So here's your major pivots. There's your action line. Here's your reaction line, and it broke through it today, right? So that is bullish as long as it stays above today's lows, right? I think there's looking for setups intraday could be very interesting on Amazon. So no problem, Jay. My pleasure. Cool one. What's going on? San Francisco Bay are too hot 97. Thanks for everything. Nice. These look like all like stock tickers too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 97. Cool. Sorry to hear if you're out there. Sorry to hear that it is hot. So no problem. Call Salt. My pleasure. Cool one. Learn a lot. Thank you so much. My pleasure. Casey, what's going on? TTD. So I don't know if you saw it, Casey. If you've seen our videos before, but last week I did a video on the double inside week on TTD. So here is your first week. This is inside week. This is inside this week, so it makes it a double inside week. You can see it formed a triangle. And just so you know, the straddles here, if you got like 1 week out on the straddles, they're like $19. They went up to like $60. It was pretty awesome. But yeah, huge move right there. It looks like it's kind of getting a little bit tired up there. RSI is not quite overbought, but you are flirting here with the upper Bollinger Band, with kind of a shooting star. The daily you are overbought. You do have a shooting star over the upper Bollinger Band, so just be careful. It might be ready for a little bit of a pullback or from consolidation. And just be careful with TTD. It gets a little bit, it can get a little spready if you don't have if you can't capitalize on that double inside week type thing. So Jay, figure that awesome. Yep, no problem, my pleasure. And Manoj, my pleasure. So is the Island Gap bullish? Well, it'll get filled eventually, right? Especially with Amazon, right? So it's a reversal pattern that forms, right, when you have two gaps, right? And so basically, it's a reversal pattern. So basically, it is bullish. So you start with a gap down. Let's go back to it. I can't believe I haven't done a video on these yet. So, yep. So that's the idea. So you gap down, right? Kind of does this little thing, then gaps up again, and then it takes a very long time for it to come back and fill it. So that is very possible. This is a bullish reversal pattern. So, so hopefully you find that helpful. And let's see what else. And Shirley, awesome, no problem. Thank you, Shirley. I always appreciate that you tune in. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. No problem, Stacy. My pleasure. Thank you as always. Ricky, what's going on? Isn't this Friday quad quad witching? Do we need to be cautious? I don't think this is this the end of the month? Next week. Next week is expiration. So here. And it's really no big deal. I mean, it's just sort of a superstitious type name. But okay, so here's your monthlies. So the 21st. Right, so that in general, that's going to be your monthlies, right? And of course, the quarter ends. The quarterlies end. Anything else ending, guys? If we're switching, option, like if the futures contracts are changing over. I have to look it up just to double check. But yeah, we want to be careful, right? So if your weeklies closing, your monthlies closing, your quarterlies are closing, then you get your futures contract closing. So yeah, if it's quad witching, then it's got that. I mean, it's nothing. It's just kind of a superstitious name. But the only thing you want to be careful about is a lot of shenanigans, right? Market makers are going to try to pin these prices to like certain levels, right? And so they can do some really funky stuff, right? They can push things pretty far to get them to close where they need them to close. So you always be cautious, right? No matter what, and then always be cautious on Fridays anyway, on those those expiration days too, just because, because those premiums could go down really quickly and theta could really burn. So you just want to trade the best setups and whatever you're most comfortable with. So no problem, Casey, my pleasure. Cool, my pleasure. Paul, my friend, hope you're feeling better, man. Have a good night. And SNDCS next week is quad, but roll this. Oh, okay, so I got you. We roll this week. And then next week is quad. ES. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Show me the patterns, man. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great night. Remember, the trend is your friend until it bends or until it ends. And so just kind of pay attention to that stuff. Reversals are fun, but trading along with the trend is fun too. So just buying pullbacks or in a bullish trend or shorting rips, when we're in a bearish trend. So anyway, good stuff, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow night, with some more good stuff. And remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon.